Action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4191 relating to providing child care generally. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. The junior senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill would add a new category of operating costs for child care facilities for which the existing child care 50% tax credit would apply. To accomplish this, this bill adds a new definition of employer-sponsored child care facility. This would refer to a third-party licensed child care services facility whose operational costs are financially supported by one or more employers through direct payments, contractor subsidies. An employer-sponsored child care facility may be located anywhere in the state of West Virginia and shall not be subject to proximity or employee usage thresholds. The bill also directs the Department of Human Services to pay licensed child care program subsidy payments based on monthly enrollment rather than attendance. Finally, the bill would require legislative and emergency rules of the Secretary of the Department of Human Services to provide a system with electronic filing of all days of attendance billed by child care providers to the department no later than July 1st, 2026. Mr. President, I urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? Senator from Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of House Bill 4191. Over the last several years, one thing has become very clear as we talk about workforce development and economic growth in West Virginia.
Wow, this is cool.
If we're serious about workforce development, then we need to be serious that child care has to be part of the conversation. If we want people to go to work in this state, we have to make sure that they have somewhere safe and reliable for their kids to go during the day. I see it personally. My wife and I drop our little guy off to daycare just like thousands of parents across West Virginia. And like most of those parents, some mornings go incredibly well, and some mornings not so well. Families all across our state are balancing work, family, and the simple question of who is going to care for and help educate their child while they're on the job. What I appreciate about this bill is that it allows employers to be part of the solution. Businesses across West Virginia want to help their workers succeed, and this gives them the ability to invest in the families that power their businesses each and every day. Because the reality is, if we want to keep young families in West Virginia and attract new ones, childcare has to be part of that conversation. House Bill 4191 is not the final answer, and it doesn't solve every challenge that we face in childcare, but it moves us in the right direction. Because if we strengthen our workforce and give young families the confidence in a daycare and a childcare situation, they can continue to build their lives here in West Virginia. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Wetzel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to strongly support this bill. Last fall, I attended a meeting from the Southern Regional Education Board. For 2 days, it was spent on child care discussions. And the thing that I like about this bill is this bill gives the opportunity for small businesses to provide for child care. The state of Virginia has a wonderful child care system, and it has greatly increased their workforce by having this system available. This will help West Virginia as a first step toward increasing our workforce participation and giving small businesses the opportunity to provide child care for their employees. I support this bill and urge its passage.
Further discussion. Senator from Mon County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise too in support of the legislation. In my district, this is a very important issue. We may have the highest percentage of families with children in the age group that we're discussing, and they're looking for child care. What's a little bit unique about my district is many of those families have just recently come to West Virginia, and they don't have grandma close by or other relatives, and they're in desperate need of quality child care so that they can go to work. What this bill also does is it stabilizes the reimbursement system for these child care providers by moving from an attendance process to an enrollment process, which helps these child care providers maintain the staffing levels that we as a state require of them to ensure the children's safety. This is, as other senators have said, a first step in addressing this problem. I believe the next step is the contents of Senate Bill 429 that I introduced this year that creates scholarship programs for child care providers so that they can bring their children into the child care setting and enable them to work. And with each additional child care worker, certified, approved, educated, that comes into the workforce, they can care for 9 more children. So I think it's in the state's best interest to incentivize workers to return to the workforce, allow their child to be taken care of so that they can care for 9 more children. I think that helps us increase people in the workforce. It increases our personal income tax collections. It increases our consumer sales tax as more people are working. So, Mr. President, I rise in support of the legislation and encourage my colleagues to vote yes as well.
Senator from Randolph.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many times throughout this session, I've talked about economic development legislation, whether it's industrial access roads, site readiness programs, and other infrastructure-related bills. But let me just be clear, this is an economic development bill. This is a workforce development bill. This is going to help us staff all of these new jobs that we are working to bring to the state of West Virginia. It is a great, great bill. As my colleagues have indicated, there's still a lot of work to do, but this is a great first step and is a piece to the puzzle of growing our economy here in West Virginia. I urge passage of the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Marion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't think I often enough get up and talk about a bill that I support. Maybe I should do it more, but I'm going to take this opportunity for my friends here in the chamber and commend everyone for making this a priority. You know, I often say on the campaign trail, stay, rebuild, and succeed, and that the most important issue that we have and that I see, especially for young people, is that we give them an opportunity to stay here. And I think this is, again, like the senator from Harrison said, this is not the final step. I think this is a substantial step forward. And I remember coming to the House of Delegates 6 years ago, and I sat next to Delegate Kaylee Young, and I remember often talking about this issue, and she's been a great advocate for it. And so many others here in the House and the Senate have made this their issue. But another group of people are citizen activists, parents, and many of these child care providers that have fought not just this year, but every year for this type of legislation, this type of kitchen table issue to be front and center. And there are many people that I remember talking to that had seen that we hadn't taken this up, that had pushed, and that continued effort has been realized today. And again, there's more to do, but that's what can happen when your average citizen comes to the legislature and talks about issues that are important to them. Things like this can happen. And so I appreciate this body and I support the bill.
Further discussion? Senator, wish to close? Question then before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor shall vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? I'm sorry. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, 31 yeas, 3 nays, none absent without voting. More than a majority of those present and voting have voted in the affirmative. I declare the bill passed. Senator from Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective July 1, 2026.
Senator from Lewis moves the bill be made effective July 1st, 2026. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, 32 yeas, 2 nays, 0 absent without voting. I declare the bill, more than two-thirds of those elected to the Senate having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed and effective July 1st, 2026. The clerk will communicate the action to the House, the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee